автомата. Ну-ка, давай.
Мою въебало.
Давай, вылазить, прыгайте, уходите дальше.
Айда, мужики, как вы?
Все целы?
Валя!
Прыгай, садись в УАЗик, поехали! Давай, будете все, айда!
Айда.
Прыгай, прыгай!
Давай.
Давай, будете все!
Айда.
Russian dictator Vladimir Putin has expressed his willingness to discuss the possibility of a ceasefire in Ukraine with elected US President Donald Trump. However, Moscow does not intend to make any major territorial concessions and insists Kyiv refuses ambitions to join NATO. Reuters reports Trump, who promised to end the conflict quickly, returns to the White House amid Russian ascendancy. Currently, Moscow controls Ukrainian territory about the size of the American state of Virginia and continues its offensive at the fastest pace since the early days of the 2022 invasion. According to sources, the Kremlin may agree to freeze the conflict along the current front line. At the same time, discussions are taking place about the possible division of the Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson regions, which Russia considers its own but does not fully control. In addition, Moscow may consider withdrawing from the relatively small patches of territory it holds in the Kharkiv and Mykolaiv regions. However, its position on Crimea remains unchanged. The region will not be a subject of negotiations. Putin insists that any agreement must take into account the realities on the ground and fears a temporary ceasefire that would allow the West to rearm Ukraine. Dmitry Peskov, spokesman for Russian leader Vladimir Putin, has said that Putin would not be satisfied with freezing the war in Ukraine, although he is supposedly prepared to negotiate with Kyiv. The comment came after Reuters published an article stating that Putin was willing to discuss the possibility of freezing the war. Putin has also already said that the option of freezing this conflict would not satisfy us. It's important for us to achieve our goals, which everyone knows about. Peskov also said that Putin has said on many occasions, and in fact constantly says, that he is ready to be contacted and to negotiate. Ukraine, for its part, continues to insist on restoring control over all its territory within the 1991 borders. President Volodymyr Zelenski has stated that Kyiv will not make concessions until the last Russian soldier leaves Ukrainian land. The current US administration's decision to provide Ukraine with long-range ATACMS missiles, recently used to strike Russian territory, may complicate the negotiation process. Moscow has considered this a dangerous escalation, which, according to sources, could stiffen Russia's demands. Some experts believe that a ceasefire agreement could be reached quickly to stop the war, which has already claimed countless lives. However, reaching a long-term deal that satisfies both sides seems extremely difficult. Russia, which currently controls more than 110,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory, insists that the conflict is a response to NATO's expansion and Western interference in Russia's sphere of influence. Kiev and its allies, on the other hand, regard the invasion as a gross violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. In the Kursk region, servicemen from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, whom dictator Kim Jong-un sent to help his ally Vladimir Putin in the war with Ukraine, committed a cynical and vile crime, committing an act of violence against a 28-year-old Russian language teacher sent to teach them. Dialogue media outlet reports, citing material published online by Russian law enforcement agencies. In the video, a teacher named Anna told how on November the 11th, she arrived in the village of Kromsky-Baiki in the Kursk region, which, as is known, is located 15 kilometers from the combat line. As the teacher explained, she was sent here by her superiors for the linguistic cultural and everyday adaptation of the North Korean contingent. However, apparently, the North Korean allies from the People's Democratic Republic perceived this visit of a relatively young woman in a completely different way. Already on the first night, they made their way into the private house where she was staying, grabbed her, taped her mouth shut, tied her up, and then began to abuse her. Anna recalls that she woke up that night with a feeling of suffocation. 4 or 5 soldiers taped their mouths, tied their hands, took off their clothes, and began beating and raping them, the report emphasizes. The teacher says with horror that the group forced sex acts lasted at least 2 hours, and she managed to escape when the North Korean soldiers got drunk on vodka and lost their former vigilance. Now the woman is afraid that the criminals will not be punished properly so as not to spoil relations with a friendly country, but will simply be released or sent home. Recall around 10,900 North Korean troops have been deployed to Kursk as part of Russia's airborne unit and Marines, with some already participating in battles in the Ukraine war, a South Korean lawmaker said, citing the country's spy agency. North Korea has also shipped additional arms for the war in Ukraine, including self-propelled howitzers and multiple rocket launchers. Parliament Intelligence Committee member Lee Seong-kwon told reporters, citing the National Intelligence Service, North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Son-hui meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin during her visit to Moscow this month was unusual in terms of protocol and likely went beyond exchanging greetings to cover more significant issues, including a possible visit to Russia by Kim Jong-un. Another Parliament Intelligence Committee member, Park Sun-won, said the spy agency is still trying to determine the exact number of North Korean troop casualties and whether any had surrendered amid conflicting information, the lawmaker said.
A major storm battered the U.S. Northwest with strong winds and rain, causing widespread power outages, closing schools and downing trees that killed at least 2 people. The Weather Prediction Center issued excessive rainfall risks beginning Tuesday and lasting through Friday as the strongest atmospheric river, a large plume of moisture, that California and the Pacific Northwest has seen this season bears down on the region. The storm system is considered a bomb cyclone, which occurs when a cyclone intensifies rapidly. A winter storm watch was in place for the northern Sierra Nevada above 3,500 feet, where 15 inches of snow was possible over 2 days. Wind gusts could top 75 miles per hour in mountain areas, forecasters said. Heavy, wet snow was expected to continue along the Cascades and in parts of far northern California. Forecasters warned of blizzard and whiteout conditions and near impossible travel at pass level due to accumulation rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour and wind gusts of up to 65 miles per hour. The Weather Service warned people on the West Coast about the danger of trees during high winds, posting on the social platform X, "Stay safe by avoiding exterior rooms and windows and by using caution when driving."